Okay, what we're going to do today, we got to change the fuel injector pump. It's leaking, and that's bad. We got to remove it, so what we're going to do is get it prepped to remove it for tomorrow. So what we do first, you put the arms down to stabilize it, the stabilizers, to make sure it doesn't turn over. Next thing for safety, lift the bucket out, put the safety bar in it. If this thing falls on top of you, well, you won't be changing the fuel pump. Next thing we do is never walk under the bucket. Well, we're going to disconnect the battery here. So take the terminal off the battery for safety also. Now we're going to lift up the hood, and I'm just going to start it up and I see if I can show you the leak. Okay, here's the fuel pump. Exactly the seam right here is where it's leaking at. So it's dripping down. You can got a little on my hands, but we got to remove that fuel pump, the injector pump. First thing we got to do is to degrease everything. And then here's that plunger you got to push into the pulley to lock that gear in place. So we're going to degrease it, and then tomorrow we're going to start changing it. What we're going to do now, we got degreaser in here. I always like to degrease anything that I work on that's pretty dirty. If it's not that dirty, I don't care. Okay. Gonna let it soak for a couple minutes, and then after that we're taking a pressure cleaner. We're gonna pressure clean it, and then we're all set for tomorrow to start the project. Okay, first thing we got to do is take this plunger out. It's here in the back. Screw here is in the back. It's really now if I'm not careful, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to break this one loose too. It looks like it's half loose anyway. Yeah, there you go. I don't want to drop the screw on the ground. And we're going to have to quit right now because it's the Florida rain coming. So the rain slowed down and everything, so now I need to continue to get the plunger out. Okay, I got one screw out. Finally. Okay, there it goes. It's out now. So here's the piece. Right here. Now there's a lot of paint on it. Put PB Blaster. In there and let her soak for a few minutes. And we'll come back to it to loosen that plunger up. Next thing, you got to take this cap off here. Oh, it's loose already. Just unscrews like that. There's the cap. Okay, next. We got to take these two pieces off here because you need to have the lines flexible. And this is a some sort of size. It's a millimeter of some sort. Oh, there it is. It's 8 millimeters. It's easier just to remove these. You really don't want to bend the lines or anything. Next thing we're going to have to do, we're going to remove these bolts here from the injector pump. And maybe that's a 15. No, not a 15. Maybe it's a 17. Yeah, 17. So we just need to loosen each one of these. Just make sure that you know exactly which line goes to which one. It's pretty self-explanatory considering they're all bent to the perfect shape. Okay, there's one. Don't get any dirt in those. We're going to put little plastic bags over them with tie straps in a minute. There's two. This is in the way. They don't even have a nut under it. Huh. Well, that one was easy to remove. Certain the nut's missing. So that was the throttle. At least if it fell out, it would just slow down. I'm gonna have to buy a metric nut for that, which is no big deal. And then this one, which naturally is the back side, which is a pain to get to. Because you don't want to really bend these metal lines at all. Let's have different sizes for different things. Okay, all of those are loose. Brackets. Gonna have to have a wire cutter or a knife, cut this tie strap. Well, that cut easy. And this sensor wire's got to be removed here. So just push that down there, it's fine. Now we got to remove this bracket here, here, and there from the unit. Considering it's not going to be running, it doesn't really matter if I remove it now or later. That's a 10 millimeter way it looks again. I do have to admit these Cummins motor is built much better. It's just a basic diesel motor. Nothing special. And they got everything easy to work on, namely in this. reason why I moved all the injectors first from the injector pump is because we got to crank this motor over. I've already disconnected the battery for safety, but we're just going to twirl the fan blade here to watch for the hole here and here, and to line it up. So for safety, that's why the battery is disconnected and the injector lines are totally disconnected. The chances of it to fire with the injector lines is very slim, but I'd rather have my hands and fingers. That's more important than the time. Got to take them off anyway. Okay, next thing we got to remove is this nut. It's a 10 millimeter. Let's see what I have. Okay, we got a 10 millimeter wrench. Oh man. Jeez. Well, it ain't supposed to do that. Oh man, that one was tight. I reckon we'll just call that one old man frustration. Somebody wrote a comment that I had frustration of doing all of this. Well, hell, if you were in the 70s, you have a frustration too. Okay, there's the bracket for that. That's down. Now, I'm just gonna remember to take this sensor off so I can just get it out of the way. Remember, the orange wire goes on the top. Now let's look at it. We just gotta have this pipe removed here. We got to put the guide pin back in, and then we got to unbolt these 3 screws next. So the next thing we got to do, okay, this is how we're going to turn the motor by the, oh, naturally it ain't turning the block. Okay, we got to turn it by the fan blade to turn the block to get to the right position. So we're going to do that, and we're going to cut the video right here until I can get that in 0, because it's a little hard to work with the camera there and everything. Okay, what I had to do there, only myself and my wife's filming, and for me to turn this fan blade without that slipping, she had to take a wrench and then just push down on this to keep the belt tighter so I could turn it back and forth. The other way I could only turn it one way, and the other way slipped. So this is how we got it lined up with the hole in the middle, just so that you know. Okay. We got PB blaster all inside to make it move, because it's never been used before, so it's all that paint that's on it. So we just got to hit it down just a little. About right there. They have a rubber seal in there, so you don't want to pop it out. And just make it move back and forth. Don't have to hit it hard, just tap, tap, tap. That's why I'm using a ping hammer with my hand right at the very end, so I have no leverage on it. Okay, we're going to take it one more time. I'm going to shoot that, but the camera's got to go backwards. Okay. Just to make sure it's oiled really well. Oh yeah, now it's really starting to slide good. That's the very end. Okay, that's where it's at. wipe the PV blaster and oil off. It's got a rubber seal here on the bottom too, so you make sure you don't damage that. And we're going to screw this back in. I rotated the fan blade here. Look right in that little hole right there. As you can see, inside there is the little hole that you're looking for. And that's what we got to do, is screw that thing back in with the pin in that hole. Very important. Don't bypass that step no matter what you do. Now take this plunger and screw this critter all the way back in. Okay. Now we're going to get that back screw screwed in too, which is most definitely a pain in the ass. Okay, we got the plunger in. We're trying to tighten up the screw that it just fell out of again. Almost. Okay, there's one side. And here's the other side. Done. As you can see, that plunger is pushed way in there now. So that is most definitely in the hole of the gear. Right here. You see the plunger. You don't even have the plunger going up street. Right here's the plunger. You can see it's pushed way in. So it's in the gear. You gotta have that in the gear. If not, you take that pulley off and the pump off, that gear is gonna fall down. What a pain in the ass it will be. So that's ready to go. Okay, next thing we have to do, we got to remove this part here. And 17 millimeter again. And this and you got to remove this nut way down here. We put a swivel on it. There, it broke loose. Great. Now, as you can see, it flops pretty good. We're going to put the screw back in the hole here, so I know what goes where. Okay, so that one's loose. The next thing we're going to do is remove this one, which we might have to remove this pipe here or here, because I got a sneaky feeling that's going to be in the way no matter what I do. So let's go right up here to this one. take this one off. Always make sure that bolts like that with that washer on it, on those. And I'm just going to screw it right back in. Don't have to go in far. Now, got to remove this one next. That one looks a smaller tool. Looks like a 14. And it looks like it's going to be a bear. 1, 2, 3. Holy crap! Here. Oh, that breaks loose there without turning the pipe. And it wants to turn the pipe. Be a lot easier to remove those other bolts with that pipe out of the way. Okay, we'll think about that one for a minute, and now we're going to have to get ready to pull the pulley in the front. That's what we're going to do next. Okay, what we got to do now is take this nut off this pulley. A little hard to see in there. I don't know how. There it goes. How tight it is. You want to make sure you do one thing. Do not drop this nut in the case unless you want to tear the front of that block off. So you got to make sure that you got the nut and lock washer in your hand. There's the nut in there and there's the lock washer. Okay, nothing else is there. So now we just got to pull the pulley out. Loosen it up from the base. So the next thing we got to do is take these 3 bolts off and pull it out. I was unable to loosen this pipe out of my way, so I just got to work around it. I disconnected it from here to here, the stem that was there. I disconnected that to get it out of my way. But I got to work around the pipe, which is going to be more of a pain in the ass to get to that nut right there. So I have to go from the back side, from here, all the way up with an extension, all the way up into it, which it makes it a little more of a pain. But yeah, we can live with it. Next thing, make sure the line from this unit here and the line on the case is there for your alignment. Make sure the paint isn't scratched or anything. Make sure that's there. Next, take this one bolt. This bolt here is to lock the pump into top dead center so it doesn't move. If you're going to put a new pump in, it really don't matter, and you're just going to send the old one back. But that's not what I'm doing with this one. This one's going to have just the back gasket installed because there's nothing wrong with my pump. It's probably cost about $75, $100, I don't know, something like that. It's kind of what mood they're in and what they charge you. And you tighten this down on the shaft here like that. That's so the pump doesn't move. And then when you get the pump back, you gotta loosen that and put this tab back. If not, you'll destroy the pump. So that's the next 2 things. Make sure the mark's there. And considering it's so bright, I can't even see the mark, but I know it's there. And make sure this is just tight on the shaft. Right there and go that way. Stand in that hole. Okay. Okay, he's putting the gear puller on. He found something that would work. into the unit. There's the one side. And he's putting the other bolt in now. At least my son came to the rescue, considering I didn't have one that would fit in there, and he did. Which isn't working the best. So we're just going to take the 3 bolts out of the back here for the pump. We're going to remove them. Then after we remove it, each one of these, then hopefully we can, it's not too pressed on, that we can get it back in. The problem I'm having too is that every one of these bolts that's coming out here, the studs coming out of the frame, the nuts aren't coming off at all. See, the whole stud's coming out of each one of these. So there's an issue that I'm having. Well, keep taking a picture. See what I can use and what I can't.
I don't have any of those.
Okay, well, here's the pump. So there it is. It's leaking right down that seam. Okay, we're going to be taking it to Orlando and get it repaired. Here's the issue that I had with the studs. The whole stud came out of the case that held the fuel pump on, which made it real difficult. So I got to repair those and then reinsert the studs back in before I reinstall it. So tomorrow is going to be the day that I'm taking it to Orlando to get new seals in the back of the injector pump. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. I hope this was helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. When you get a chance, if you would please subscribe to my channel, that would help us out. Thank you.